Coming up on Naperville News 17, a musical new park in the making. Candidates face off before the upcoming election. And an inclusive art exhibit blooms at the DuPage Art League. Hello everyone, I'm Kim Pierce. Thanks for joining us for this week's Naperville News. Potential electric rate decreases have city staff doing the happy dance. Naperville News 17's Casey Krajewski has the story.
Oh yeah, 2%, 2% decrease, yeah!
At the most recent City Council meeting, Department of Public Utilities Deputy Director Lucille Podlesny presented a report on the 2018 electric rate study. The report recommended City Council reduce the electric rate by 2% for each of the next 3 years. That decrease would put Naperville at a more competitive rate than ComEd.
We don't want to ever make these decisions on rate increases or decreases based on competitiveness, because it's really more about what's our cost of service, right? We want to make sure that we're taking care of the system, investing in our infrastructure. And so, however, that said, it's always nice to benchmark ourselves against what other communities are charging for electric.
The decreases would come after 3 years of rate increases, including an 8.3% increase in 2016. Council will vote on whether to approve the rate decreases at a future meeting. For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
This decrease would create an average additional savings of $24 per house per year. The SECA process is underway. Naperville News 17's Blaine Irwin has more.
The Special Events and Cultural Amenities, or SECA Commission, recently met to come up with their first unified recommendations on how to dole out the funds raised by the 1% food and beverage tax in Naperville. This year, after city obligations, the Commission has about $950,000 to distribute, which includes $38,000 from a newly reintroduced 2% escalator and $13,000 in underspent funds from last year's allocations.
They look at the spending in 2017 because all the receipts have been delivered and the funds have been dispersed. Some of the projects didn't consume all of the money that they were allotted. That excess money then falls into our list to use this year.
The increase in funding, even if small, is coming at a welcome time. This year, city service requests increased by about 7% due to a new way the city is determining safety needs. While this year's recommendations are being created using the traditional system of subjective judgment, a new points-based system is being trialed in the background.
After we've concluded our recommendations to the City Council in this way, we are going to then look back at the projects using this metrics that we have and see what the results are and see if they conform to what our recommendations are or don't.
The purpose of the new system is to better show applicants what the Commission is looking for and to give SECA commissioners more common ground to discuss projects. The SECA Commission will meet again on October 27th to talk to applicants and to further refine their recommendations. For Naperville News 17, I'm Blaine Irwin.
NCTV 17 is partially funded by a grant from the SECA Commission. A long-discussed musical park will soon be coming to the Riverwalk. With a scoop of the shovels, ground was broken by community leaders for Rotary Harmony Park. The musical spot in the making is a collaboration between Century Walk and the Rotary Club of Naperville. And the idea originated from a Rotary International Conference in Atlanta.
And we came across Free Notes, the outdoor musical instruments that were absolutely beautiful in their tone, and all-weather, year-round instruments. And John and I said, we have to do this in Naperville.
The $60,000 park will bring 2 percussion and 2 chime instruments to the north side of the Riverwalk, close to Aurora Avenue and Rotary Hill. Passers-by will be free to improvise and play whatever they want on the outdoor instruments. Construction is expected to take just about 3 weeks. The Forest Preserve District of DuPage County recently heard more public interest in the Green Farm Barn. After a couple of encouraging public meetings led by Commissioner Mary Lou Worley, 2 members of the public came forward to voice their support of the project to the rest of the commission. Both asked that all commissioners lead the way in making plans for the barn's future and openly discuss its potential in an upcoming meeting.
We respectfully request that the topic of the Green Barn be added to an upcoming planning session with the intent to establish a special committee to study the Green Barn per the master plan's goal for objective 4.4 to evaluate and make recommendations for historic structures.
It takes 2 commissioners to get an item on the agenda, and it was Commissioner Worley's hope the comments at this meeting would encourage at least one of her fellow commissioners to join her in putting the Green Farm Barn into an upcoming meeting discussion. Back in 2012, the Forest Preserve Board spent over $1 million to stabilize the Green Farm Barn. Since then, it has sat vacant, and this past year has regrown more public interest in doing something with the barn. After the break, candidates take on the issues and each other in a series of debates.
Do you suffer from osteoarthritis, rotator cuff tears, peripheral neuropathy, major ligament injuries, or back and neck pain? If you answered yes, there is a non-surgical treatment option that is eliminating the pain associated with these conditions called platelet-rich plasma therapy. PRP works by harvesting your blood and separating it into smaller components that are injected into the area of injury, aiding the body's natural healing process. Suffer no more. Call us now to see how PRP can help you.
Medici Neapolitan Pizza has created the magic of an Italian piazza right in downtown Naperville. Choose from the freshest ingredients available, and all their sauces are prepared on site. Enjoy salads with dressings made from scratch, to shareable plates that celebrate the flavors of Italy, to the pizza of your dreams. From the olive tree in the center of the restaurant to the imported Italian wood-fired oven, if you want a more authentic Italian experience, you need a passport.
With the general election fast approaching, the League of Women Voters of Naperville gave voters a chance to learn more about some candidates for state offices. Naperville News 17's Blaine Irwin has more.
Several candidates for local and state offices spoke at a League of Women Voters debate night, drawing a large crowd to North Central College's Ratio Hall. The first debate was between Republican incumbent Michael Connolly and Democratic challenger Laura Ellman for Illinois' 21st District Senate seat. If elected, Michael Connolly says his #1 priority will be addressing Chicago's TIF districts.
Chicago diverts up to $800 to even this year maybe $1 billion in tax revenue that otherwise would go to the Chicago public schools.
Laura Ellman says her biggest priority would be reducing property taxes.
We need to reduce taxes on our middle class and on our homeowners and fund education to attract young families and also business. Thank you.
Grant Worley, Republican incumbent for Illinois' 41st House Congressional District, says he wants to make sure Illinois stays on a long-term financial plan.
Well, things are looking better. We really don't need to do that anymore, and we start to sway away from our fiscal plan. We need people down there that are going to instill fiscal discipline in Illinois. I consider myself one of those people.
His opponent, Democratic challenger Val Montgomery, did not attend the forum amid controversy in which it was discovered she's not actually a resident of the 41st District, even though information from the DuPage Election Commission initially indicated she was. To close the night, Jason Helland, Republican challenger for the Illinois Secretary of State, spoke about his priority of bringing down the office's budget.
We were talking about everything that I'd cut out of that budget, and you have to cut the budget by 10%. You're going to cut the budget by 10% by cutting out the wasteful expenditures, but also using automation.
He's challenging Democratic incumbent Jesse White, who has served as Secretary of State since 1998 and is running for a 6th term. White did not attend the debates. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Blaine Irwin.
And the top candidates vying for DuPage County Clerk and Sheriff recently held their first debate. Naperville News 17's Christine Lena has that story.
For the first time in more than 20 years, DuPage County will elect a new sheriff this November, as current Sheriff John Zaruba has decided to retire. Vying for that seat are Republican James Mendrick and Democrat Gregory Whalen. At a recent League of Women Voters debate night, Whalen got to lead a forum and answer audience questions on his own after Mendrick couldn't attend due to a family emergency. Whalen discussed how to prevent mass violence and crisis intervention training, topics Mendrick addresses on his website. But Whalen also focused the discussion on police body cameras.
To add transparency to when force is used, I believe that's the solution to that is the body camera program. It provides a different perspective, and it provides some video that will help us put things together, because a lot of times in critical incidents with law enforcement officers, they don't always remember every bit and piece, and that's where the video could come in and help us.
After Whalen's forum, it was the county clerk candidate's turn. Incumbent Republican Paul Hines and Democratic candidate Jean Kazmierek answered questions submitted from the League of Women Voters and the audience. The focus of their debate? Security of elections. Both emphasized the importance of a secure electoral process and avoiding hacking.
There needs to be a chain of custody, and it needs to be strongly adhered to. There needs to be testing of the machines during the election. Again, more chain of custody, keeping track of anyone having access to the machines and the memory cards, who's in the tabulation room. Everything has to be closely watched.
The one good thing about bringing it to the county clerk's office is I work with the county department, so we can work with the IT department to make sure we're secure. It's not a separate entity as it is today. So I can use all the resources at my disposal from the county to work with the IT department to make sure that our systems are secure, accurate, and make sure that everything is done right.
Where the two candidates differ, however, was in their potential work with the Election Commission. While Hines doesn't plan to act as chairman over the Election Commission, if he were reelected as county clerk, Kazmierek plans to take on that role. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
And after the clerk and sheriff candidates stepped off the stage, it was time for the county board candidates to take their turn. We return to Christine Lena for the details of that debate.
4 women running for a seat on the DuPage County Board to represent District 5 went head-to-head at the League of Women Voters of Naperville debate. Republican Patty Gustin, Democrat Dawn Desart, and Democrat Saudia Covert joined incumbent Republican Janice Anderson to answer questions from the audience. Topics ranged from consolidation to infrastructure of roadways, but the candidates put a focus on the 3 non-binding referendum questions to be on the ballot this November. Those ask voters their view on a property tax hike, a state mileage tax, and consolidating local government.
I oppose the increase in taxes. I am a foreclosure defense attorney, and one of the things that I've seen is while we did get homeowners loan modification and they were able to make their mortgage payments, they were still foreclosed on and had to leave the state because they couldn't afford the taxes.
But I'll tell you, they're dog whistles. They're an attempt to cherry pick unpopular tax ideas in order to scare voters about their taxes being raised. This particular question, this first question, is about increasing your property taxes by 1% to help reduce the state debt.
With some in opposition of the questions, others were in support. Anderson said it's good to have these types of questions on the ballot, especially with the focus on taxes.
So having an issue like that on the referendum, on the ballot, is a positive. We are reaching out to the citizens, the voters, asking them how they think. There is no dog whistle on it. It's about finding what is important to you, the taxpayers.
And while Gustin agreed that the questions are important to get citizen input, she didn't favor the questions about a property tax hike or a mileage tax.
The mileage tax will affect those businesses particularly those that are in transportation, and it will not be a benefit if we're going to try to promote business to come to the community.
You can learn more about each candidate on their respective websites. I'm Christine Lena reporting for Naperville News 17.
The general election will be held on November 6th. Coming up, philanthropic students get a presidential stamp of approval for their service.
Since 2001, families and friends have been caught reading Positively Naperville. At home, around town, and all over the world. Thanks for reading, in print and online.
There's a lot of news to catch you up on in District 203. To start, Naperville North High School was recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School. The award was received in the Exemplary High Performing Schools category, which recognizes Naperville North among the highest performing schools in the country as measured by state assessment or nationally normed tests. Naperville North is one of just 24 in Illinois to receive the honor. A community member's call for updates to Naperville Central softball field were met and discussed at the most recent District 203 Board of Education meeting. The district's proposing $800,000 of renovations to the Knock Park softball field within their 5-year master facility plan. The renovations would be in collaboration with the Naperville Park District, who leases the field to Naperville Central for their softball team's use. The need for field improvements was brought to the board's attention after a former parent and coach of a Naperville Central softball player pointed out the discrepancies between the girls' softball field and the boys' baseball field in both appearance and enhancements. The board will vote on the funding at their next meeting. If approved, the field could be completed in the summer of 2019. And District 203 board member Terry Fielden announced he will not be seeking re-election as a board member. He gave the news so District 203 residents interested in running for a seat can begin preparing their nominating petitions.
I've really enjoyed my time on the board, and I'd say that this current board that I'm serving with is the best board in many years and the most thoughtful that I've had the opportunity to serve with.
Fielden says he's available to those who may have questions about running. His 4th term serving on the board ends in April. At the latest meeting of the 203 board, the group discussed a controversial new resolution proposed by a downstate district about school safety. Naperville News 17's Christine Lena tells us more.
A resolution proposed by Mercer County District 404 recently caught District 203's attention. It supports the option for faculty and staff to be active and armed in schools. That's if they've gone through background checks, have a current Illinois concealed carry license, and completed approved training courses.
I do not favor this for various reasons. My father was a police officer. I know a little bit about what it takes to be a police officer and the training that goes with it. And there's a psychology that goes with it that I think that the state needs to step up and just provide what's necessary to protect the students. And the board should be pushing for that. Because I am sympathetic for the districts down there that don't have access to local law enforcement on an as-needed basis. And I think we need to recognize that. But at the same time, it would not work here.
The resolution was one of a few proposed to the Illinois Association of School Boards' 2018 Resolutions Committee about school safety and protection plans. Those resolutions were widely supported by school districts from downstate Illinois, as they lack funding for student resource officers. That's not the case for District 203, as they utilize SROs in their schools. Board members asked to get feedback from Naperville law enforcement on the resolution before their next meeting. And Board President Kristen Fitzgerald noted how this reflects the priorities of IASB.
In addition to that, question about whether or not this is something that our district would want or not want, we also want to determine whether or not we want to see ISB even promoting that as a priority for the organization with all the various things that they have that impact education.
After district administrators review the full committee report, they will come to the board at their next meeting on October 15th with a recommendation either in support or in opposition. IASB will also review all of the proposed new resolutions before approving or denying them at the annual delegate assembly in November. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
If it were to make it through the IASB approval process, the resolution would then move to Illinois legislators to see if they had interest in pushing it forward further. A few Naperville teens got some presidential and mayoral recognition. 3 students from Naperville District 203 and 1 from Hinsdale met with Mayor Steve Chirico in recognition of their Presidential Volunteer Service Awards.
And when I first contact Mayor, he's very happy to meet with the students and also giving some encouraging words. And I think it's good for the community. And we, all the citizens of this community, we want to contribute. We want to do good things.
The awards, consisting of a certificate, medal, and letter from the president, are given to citizens who devote a significant portion of their time to volunteering. And Vicky Zhu, Victor Ke, Taylor Shaw, and Eric Chen did just that by traveling abroad with the Ivy Max Foundation to help out in a Chinese village.
The bulk of it is where me and the other students I worked with, we went to a province in China called Ningxia, and we went to a village which is pretty impoverished. They don't have that many resources, and we participated in a bunch of different service projects.
They brought the volunteer spirit home from China too. They've started collecting old computers, refurbishing them, and giving them away to people who couldn't afford them otherwise. It takes over 250 hours of volunteering in 1 year to earn the Gold Presidential Volunteer Service Award. Last year's Business Incubator course was a big hit for District 203, and this year's students took the first step to repeat that success. Students and mentors came together to discuss the early ideas for their businesses. Some groups already had a well-developed product, while others were looking for guidance in creating a concept.
A lot of them, they're in their infancy. So there's going to have to be, as the class goes on, development of them. But I would say generally, all of them have a very, very good concept of fixing a problem.
The groups will be paired up based on the specific needs of each business and the specialties and connections of the mentors.
We got a day before to research our mentors and kind of look what their field is. And there's a lot of guys that we really look towards and we can really take off our product with these guys. And one thing that we were looking for in a mentor was kind of just how they can help us develop our product and kind of network it out into the world.
The final pitch day will occur at the end of the school year when students have the opportunity to secure real funds for their startups from investors. Last year, groups earned as much as $13,000 in investments for their businesses. A new North Central scholarship will let international students know that they are welcome here. The hashtag You Are Welcome Here initiative was created by a few higher education institutions in late 2016 to send a message to international students saying that United States colleges and universities are safe, diverse, and welcoming places to study. North Central College got in on the campaign and has become the only Chicagoland school to offer a You Are Welcome Here scholarship of about $3,000 to international students.
The scholarship is an extension not only addressing the desirability of a U.S. education, but also the affordability, because as we all know, it can be an expensive investment to pursue a bachelor's degree in the United States. And so we wanted to help students make it possible to have a North Central education.
To apply, international students must have completed secondary school outside of the United States and cannot be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. They also have to write a short essay or create a brief video detailing how they will promote intercultural understanding at North Central, or how they'll bridge cultural divides in their careers with skills gained at North Central. North Central College currently has about 120 international students from 44 different countries. Up next, highlights from the latest happenings in high school sports.
We live in a safe community, but not a crime-free community. If you see something, say something. Be a Naperville Crime Stopper.
The path to the boys and girls golf tees off this week while our best players hit the links at the regional meets. At the Plainfield North Boys Golf Regional, Neuqua Valley won the team title while senior Griffin Croce was the individual champion with a score of 73. Naperville Central finished third, advancing to sectionals as a team, while Naperville North finished fourth and will send 5 individual golfers to the sectional meet on October 8th. At the West Aurora Regional, Waubonsee Valley won the team title, while Metea Valley finished second. Both teams advanced to the sectional meet as well. All 6 local girls teams competed at Phillips Park for a spot at the sectionals. The top 3 teams advanced to sectionals, with the Wildcats of Neco Valley moving on while taking third. Bennett Academy edged Naperville North by a single stroke to win the regional championship. Red Wings senior Lauren Boudreau was the medalist with an incredible round of 6 under 66. Naperville Central will send 3 individuals, while Waubonsee Valley advances 2. The Frisbee and Flying Disc Convention will be at the Naperville Marriott on Deal Road on October 5th, 6th, and 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day. Come meet some Frisbee legends and players from as far back as the 70s and 80s, world champions, and Hall of Fame members alike. The 3-day event is for anyone who's interested in disc golf, guts, canine Frisbee, ultimate Frisbee, and more. There will be a $15 entry fee, while children under 10 get in free. The 9th annual District 2-3 Crosstown Classic races were held earlier in the week at Mill Street Elementary School. 16 races were held in total, with hundreds of young runners ranging from kindergarten through 5th grade. The races were broken up into 400 meters, 800 meters, and a mile. The slogan, "Run Because You Can," promotes every kid to get out there on the course and try their best. Proceeds of the event this year were donated to the Ronald McDonald House Charities. That's it for sports. Kim, back to you.
Thanks, Stephanie. And remember, you can always find a full supply of local sports action right on our website at nctv17.com. Empowering clients with autism and other developmental disabilities is what Little Friends is all about. Our own Christine Lena learned how one of their programs is doing that in a colorful way.
Elba Rivera was an avid artist for years, but it wasn't until recently her work was put on public display for the first time.
I feel good, and I feel that I'm doing artwork for me, for somebody, you know, for the art show or something like that.
It's all thanks to Include, an art program Little Friends formed over 10 years ago, whose mission is still seeing success.
So I think art is an avenue to help the artists sort of be able to express themselves and show like their thoughts and feelings through their artwork. And then by placing it in a public gallery is huge, because we want to also bring awareness to community as well, and like let them know about individuals with developmental disabilities and just the talents that they can have.
The Include Studio exhibition at the DuPage Art League came to be after a year of collaboration, when the art program received a grant to fund materials and gallery space for its clients.
We have about 430 members, and they ask for volunteers to help with their program. And our exhibits chairman said that we had exhibit space for them if they wish to have a show here. And they took us up on it. So I think a whole year later, we have this wonderful show of Little Friends artwork. And we are very, very pleased to do this.
The work of 17 different artists is displayed in the gallery, and they're open to view and buy until October 19th. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
Almost all of the money made from the artwork sold goes back to the Little Friends artists and teaches them about the business side of the art world. And that's what's happening right here in your neighborhood, Naperville. We'll see you next week. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, our website, nctv17.com, for daily updates.
This week's Naperville News 17 is brought to you in part by the following sponsors. This program is partially funded by a grant from the City of Naperville.